Welcome, race fans, to Pump the Brakes, the one, the only, the Cadillac of Formula One podcasts. I am your host, the Pit Lane Patriot. Formula One has gone on its annual summer break, but this podcast is every Wednesday no matter what, so we are here with a brand new episode. And this week, we are going to give our Cadillac Formula One team its first half report card. Let's grade Team Cadillac. All right, people, let's give our Team Cadillac its first mid-season report card. We're not going to give it a full race-by-race history lesson here. We've got 26 episodes. You can go back and listen to them. We've already lived every race. We talked about the highs, the lows, the DNFs, that one almost point, the bad weekends, better weekends, moments where it was like, okay, that was progress. And then there was moments where it was like, oh, please don't let this be a trend. So today is not about retelling the entire first half. Today is about grading the project. What's Cadillac done right? Where are they still behind? What should we actually expect from the second half? And most importantly, how do we judge a brand new Formula One team without being unfair, but also without being soft? Because there's a balance. It's year one. That's true. That matters. Cadillac's not Mercedes. It's not Ferrari. It's not Red Bull. It's not McLaren. It's not even a long-running midfield team that has had years of building relationships, upgrades, databases, simulator models, race operations, and rhythm. It's a brand new Formula One team learning in public. And learning in public is ugly. Everybody sees the mistakes. Everybody sees the back row starts. Everybody sees the DNFs. Everybody sees the car is not fast enough. Everybody sees when the team brings upgrades and the stopwatch says not yet. But being new does not mean the standards disappear. This is still Formula One. If you enter Formula One, you are asking to be judged against Formula One. So the thesis of this episode is simple. Cadillac's first half was not about proving they could score points every weekend. It's about proving they're a serious Formula One operation. And so far, my answer is this. Cadillac looked like a serious Formula One operation with a slow car. That's not the same thing as saying a failure, but it's not a success yet. It's somewhere in the middle. It's foundation building, learning, frustrating. It's been occasionally encouraging, but it's very clearly a year one. So let's grade it. First category, driver lineup. Grade, A-. And honestly, this might be Cadillac's strongest decision so far. Home run, Sergio Pérez and Valtteri Bottas were the correct drivers for this project. They're not the flashiest lineup. They're not young. They're not the sexiest lineup. They're not the lineup that makes teenagers on social media start cutting hype videos with dramatic music, but it's the correct lineup. Because in year one, Cadillac did not need two wildcards. They needed two adults, two veterans. They needed drivers who know what Formula One is supposed to feel like. Drivers who've been in serious teams. Drivers who understand race weekends, feedback loops, car development, tire behavior, race management, media pressure, and the emotional nonsense of the sport we all love. Checo Pérez and Valtteri Bottas have won Grand Prix. They've driven for top teams. They've been teammates to monsters. They know what good looks like, which matters. Because if you're building a new team, you need drivers who can tell you what is wrong in a useful way. Not just car's bad, car's slow. Not just I have no grip. Actual detail. You need reference points. You need drivers who can say this is where the car is unstable. This is where the tire is overheating. This is where the braking behavior is costing us. And this is where the deployment feels wrong. And that is what veteran drivers give you. And more than that, they give the project credibility. Cadillac did not enter Formula One with two rookies, a bunch of hope, and a press release. They entered with Pérez and Bottas, two veterans. That tells the paddock we're taking this very seriously. Now, had the drivers been perfect? No, of course not. No one's perfect, except for maybe Max. On the one hand, Checo's had the bigger emotional moments. Monaco was the obvious one. He crossed the line in P10. Cadillac's first point was right there, and then the penalty dropped him to P15. Heartbreaking. He drove in a point, and we lost it. But the point is, he put the car in that position. And for a team with 0 points, that matters. On the other hand, Bottas has been more of a long-term development anchor. He's had a difficult run with reliability. He's had way too many races where he could not even get the car to the end. But when he talks about the car, when he talks about the data, when he talks about the progress, you can hear why Cadillac wanted him and still wants him. He's not here for vibes. He's here to help build this thing. And that's why this driver lineup gets an A-. Their driver lineup is an absolute A-. It's not an A+ because the results aren't really there. This team still technically has no points. And at some point, the drivers also have to convert some of this chaos into real results. But for year one, Pérez and Bottas are the right foundation. Second category, operations. Grade B-. This is where I think Cadillac deserves some credit. Okay, one of the fears about any new Formula One team is that they might look lost. Not slow, lost. There's a difference. Slow is fixable. Lost is scary. A slow team can develop. A slow team can gather data. A slow team can build process. Slow team can bring upgrades, understand them, and start to close gaps. A lost team burns weekends. A lost team has strategy mistakes, garage confusion, setup confusion, poor communication, pit wall panic, drivers frustrated, engineers guessing, and the whole thing starts looking like a project that entered Formula One long before it was ready. And I got news for you guys. Cadillac have not looked like that. They've looked slow. Our team's slow. It's limited. It's definitely reliability challenged. But they've not looked unserious, which matters. There's been moments where the operation looked genuinely solid. Silverstone is our best example. After Austria, when both cars retired early with overheating brakes, Cadillac needed to respond. That was their first really shitty weekend. And then they show up at Silverstone and they got both cars home. Pérez finished 15th, Bottas finished 17th. The team got race distance with their upgraded package. Drivers got full laps, engineers got data, and the garage could breathe again. That was an operational response. It's not a headline, but it's a response. And in year one, responses matter more than headlines. Now, the reason why I don't grade operations higher than a B- is that the team still has had way too many weekends where the weekend got compromised before Sunday could really become anything useful. There's been reliability issues. There's been back row starts, setup limitations, mechanical problems, deployment issues. There have been problems where our drivers themselves have said we're leaving performance on the table, and that can't be happening. But I think the foundation's there, and I would rather be a slow, serious team than a chaotic, slightly faster team. Because a slow, serious team, in the long run, can become fast, serious. A chaotic team is always going to stay chaotic, and that's not a roller coaster ride that's going to end with a championship. Category 3, reliability. All cars need to be reliable. I give Cadillac so far C-. This is the biggest reason why the first half can't get graded too generously. Because if there's one requirement on Cadillac or any brand new team, it's you need to finish races. Cadillac need to finish races. It's not optional, especially in your year one. When you're a new team, every full race distance is valuable. Every Sunday is an experiment. Every lap gives you information, tire data, brake data, cooling data, energy management data, driver feedback, dirty air behavior, pit stop rhythm, strategy timing. You need all that data and you get it every single weekend. This isn't like another sport where you can just go out onto a basketball court and just practice anytime you want. Every moment you're on that track is valuable. And if your car DNFs, that's bad. That puts a huge dent in our progress, and it's happened a few times already this season. It's why Austria hurt so much. Both cars were out early with overheating brakes. Brake problems have been an issue a lot throughout the first half. Hungary, right before the break, brakes do it again. Both cars retired. Now, yeah, it's true. Silverstone and Spa gave you something to build on. Silverstone gave you the double finish. Spa was not perfect, but Bottas got to the end while Perez retired. Hungary losing right before the break hurts. And that's the problem with Cadillac's first half. Every time you want to say, okay, things are starting to stabilize, the car reminds you that it's not solved. For a new team, yeah, I can be patient with pace. Been saying it all season long. We're here for the long haul. I can be patient with qualifying. I can be patient with learning tracks and tire window and upgrade paths. But reliability has to become boring. And that's the word, boring. We shouldn't be having to talk about brake cooling every week. I don't want to talk about suspected hydraulic issues. I don't want to talk about overheating. I don't want to talk about we saw positives before the retirement. I want boring finishes. P16, P17, P18, whatever. Bring the cars home. Because once the car finishes, you can learn. We're at that point where we need to just get these two cars home. Now, reliability, it doesn't get an F because the team has still had multiple double finishes. It's completed races. It's shown for sure that it can survive F1 Sundays. But not higher than the C- because the DNFs are way too frequent and I can't see any patterns of success. I see a good weekend and then I see two bad ones. So C- is appropriate. Fourth category, overall performance. And this is the performance on the car. Grade, D+. This is the harshest grade, but it has to be. The car is just not fast. It's not a fast car. When I saw it in person in Miami, I could see that it wasn't as fast as the other cars. It was visibly slower. And I'm not trying to be a dramatic, angry fan here. I mean it in a simple F1 way. The car is just simply not fast enough on pace yet. Cadillac's got 0 points. Let's face it. Sit at 11th in the Constructors' Championship. Their highest finish is 13th. They have not had a top 10 finish or a point that actually stayed on the board. They've not had a consistent threat to Q2. Too often the weekends start where Pérez and Bottas are buried near the back, and from there, everything just becomes recovery. This is a hard way to live and a hard way to progress. If you start 19th and 20th, you are asking Sunday to save you. You're asking for chaos. You're asking for other teams to make mistakes. You're asking for safety cars, penalties, retirements, anything that can bring you into a race you didn't qualify into. And that's not sustainable. That's not something you can grow off of. At some point, Cadillac need to get closer on merit. The next performance step is not points every week. Let's be realistic. The next step is clear. It's Q2. One car in qualifying 2. For those who don't know, qualifying is how the grid order for Sunday's race is determined, and it happens in knockout stages Q1, Q2, and Q3. Cadillac has been knocked out in Q1 every race so far because we're just not good enough. So the next step is to make it into Q2, the top 15 as far as pace on qualifying lap. And that is a mountain right now. Stay ahead of at least one established team on pace. Give Checo and Bottas a Sunday where they are not immediately trapped in the worst traffic on grid. Put the pit wall in a position where strategy can actually do something instead of just hoping the race comes apart. That would be real progress. And I think Pérez said the quiet part out loud before Hungary. They need big steps or they need to get lucky. He talked about needing something like half a second to 8/10 to really be in contention when opportunities come. That's a gap. That's not one magical setup tweak. It's not one perfect lap. It's a real chunk of lap time. So performance gets a D+. Not because Cadillac should be ashamed, not because year one was supposed to look like Racing Bulls or Alpine or Audi, but because this is Formula One and the performance grade has to reflect the scoreboard and the stopwatch. We're last. We have no points. We're still too often at the back row. That's a D+. The plus is because there have been flashes. Monaco, Silverstone pace, moments where they look close enough to bother Aston Martin, maybe Haas, maybe Williams on the right weekend. There's something there. But the base grade is still low because the car needs a lot more speed.
Going to get greedy. I love that. Look, do you know, shout out to Cadillac, Sergio Perez with a great result in the sprint race.
They're coming.
Exactly. It's exciting to see.
5th category, development direction. Grade, B-. This is where I want to be careful because we're not only talking about the car side. I was tempted to give it a B because we're bringing upgrades, learning, not sitting still. The drivers are talking about progress. Team still seems to understand that the car is weak and, where it's weak. And that's good. It's exactly what you want. Year one is not about panic upgrade. It's not about throwing parts at the car because the internet's mad. It's about building a development process that can last into year 2, year 3, and eventually the bigger GM power unit later in the decade. So on the car side, I like the direction. But the development is not just parts on the car. Development is also the pipeline. And that is where Colton Herta comes into this conversation. Not for 20 minutes, not to bury him, not to turn this into Colton is finished, but we got to mention him. Colton Herta is part of Cadillac's project. He's the American driver story. He's our future seat conversation, American driver in the Cadillac. He's the idea that Cadillac could eventually have not just an American badge and an American fan base, but an American driver who belongs in Formula One on merit. And so far in Formula 2, Colton has not showed anywhere near enough. It's just the truth. Again, okay, context matters. Colton's doing something very difficult. He came in from IndyCar into Formula 2. Different car, different tires, different tracks, different race format, different driving rhythm, different expectations. The entire motorsport world is watching because everybody knows what the Cadillac story could become. So I do not want to be unfair, but I also do not want to pretend. He's not lighting up Formula 2. He's not forcing the conversation. He's not making it impossible for Cadillac to ignore him. And for a driver who's supposed to be the future American option, this is disappointing. Me personally, I'm disappointed. Now, it doesn't mean the door's closed. It doesn't mean the project's dead. It doesn't mean he can't improve in the second half and next year. But as of this summer break, the evidence is not strong enough to put him in Formula One. And that's why I bring the development direction grade down from a B to a B-. That car, development direction grade is a B, but you get a notch because your number one prospect is not panning out. Colton needs to show proof. And that's the word, proof. Cadillac does not need Colton to be perfect right now, but they do need Colton to start showing more pace, more complete weekends, more qualifying, and better race result. Something that can make them say, oh, okay, I see the path. Maybe he gets another year in Formula 2 to show us even more. And 6th category, identity and fan engagement. Cadillac feels like Cadillac Formula 1. It might sound simple, but it's not. A new Formula 1 team is in charge of building its entire identity from scratch. Fans need to understand what they're rooting for. They need to feel something. They need the reason to care beyond just 2 cars on the grid. And Cadillac have actually done a pretty good job of that. The name means something. The American angle means something. There's some dude with a podcast that he does every Wednesday. The livery moment means something. That 4th of July energy that they brought meant something. And for fans like us, it's been pretty much, it's been quite the hook. We're not just watching a random benchmarker. We're watching the beginning of something that represents our entire country. So like the emotional piece matters. Because if the team were slow and anonymous, this would be kind of harder. There'd be no identity, no personality, no Terry Crews running around doing videos all the time. No feel. But Cadillac have actually given us something to attach to. Okay, identity and fan base doesn't score points on its own. And a good-looking livery does not get you into Q2. But a strong identity buys patience from fans. And I think that's what Cadillac's done at this point. They've bought our patience. They've shown enough to keep us engaged through this second half that we want to see more and we expect to see more. And this fan base is only growing. So yeah, when it comes to the fans, I give Cadillac an A. And that's because of every single one of the people who are currently watching this podcast. So that is my overall grades on the Cadillac Formula One team thus far this season. Join us next week where we will talk more about the first half of the season, including drivers like Lewis Hamilton, who is lighting it up right now and could go for his 8th title. We got lots to talk about. Join us next week. See you then.